There's no now. So.
Okay, it's 12 o'clock and call the meeting of the Fire and Police Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bill Jenks,
Here.
Fred Noble will be absent, Ron Stanko,
We'll be here.
Fred Levering,
Here.
and Keith Durr will be absent.
Okay, we do have a four. Okay. Public comments? Give your name and your address.
Yes, Gregory Krutoyarsky, 41 Carson Road.
That's for me, not for him.
No, okay, sorry.
And I will talk about our police department and my neighbor, Mr. Kulin. On the 21st, he trespassed my property, went to my front door, picked up something from the porch, and went away. Many times I told him to keep away from my property, and I have no trespassing sign of my property, which clearly tells him to be away. 2 years ago,
Who are you speaking about? I didn't hear.
Mr. John Cullen, 47 Carson Road, my neighbor.
Colin.
Yeah. 2 years ago, he trespassed. I went to police. I reported it. The police told me to put the sign. That's why it was here. So on November 21st, I went to police station and talked to Officer Gorman Parker, who got my written report and my oral request to press charges for defiant trespassing. Defiant trespassing results in misdemeanor of third degree, which can be up to 1 year of imprisonment. Instead of putting defiant trespassing in the blotter report, she put it as someone was on his porch earlier on this date, and that something was going on. No mention of defiant trespassing. Why missing police is covering Mr. Cullen's illegal activity for many years. Whatever we reported, it was washed down, it was presented in other words. My speeches here were converted to something I didn't say. So, it suffices to mention here that when I complained to Mr. Cullen about this event, he replied, he was very confident, call the police. Like, I don't care, call the police. In my honest opinion, our police department is corrupt. In my honest opinion, it is caused by leadership of the chair of the commission, Mr. Jenkins. Not the first time, Mr. Jenkins.
It's Jenks.
Jenkins, sorry, I will correct it. I'm sorry. But I will not change my honest opinion. And here is a written complaint about Officer Ashley Warner Parker. I submitted to the commission, did my initial report, where everything is clear, and my report was converted to something not related. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have you contacted the police chief with your displeasure?
The police chief was absent for the whole week, and I sent a couple emails to the police officers. There was a related issue, and it was copied to police chief. By the way, after the weekend was over, there was no sign. It was easily accessible from the ground. So somebody, in my honest opinion, somebody related to Mr. Cullen
So,
took it away.
answer my question. So, you have not expressed your displeasure with the handling of your case with a chief or chief in charge, is that correct?
Yes, but
That's
I'm
why we're
doing
coming
it
here,
now.
Mr. James.
This is why.
I'm not talking.
This is why I came here, and
Okay,
I'm not
fine.
sure.
May I make my recommendation to you,
Mhm.
okay, because this way, this doesn't belong here, okay? But if you have an issue, contact the chief, make an appointment with them, and express your concern, with one of his officers, and proceed, they'll take it from there, okay? Thank you.
Unfortunately,
I'd like to ask
previously,
one- can I
when
ask
I
one
was
question?
talking to the previous chief, he didn't react to my requests, just shut me up.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason why this isn't before the district justice?
Excuse me?
Why isn't this before the district justice?
Because it's how our police department handles it.
Yeah, but it goes to the district justice for complaints like this trespassing.
I don't
Why
know.
is it here?
First thing,
Did you
report
go to
here.
the district
First
justice?
thing, report here, and that goes to the blot report. Blot report tells what's going on. The blot report was incorrect.
For
Not the
purposes
first
of
time.
filing a district justice complaint,
I will
it was
do it.
rejected?
I don't do,
Was it rejected?
I didn't do it with anything with
Well,
district
that's
judge.
where you should be, at the district justice, not here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments?
Yes. I have a public comment.
Your name and address?
Adrian Jadick, I'm missing, 48 Cardinal Road, and 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
Good. First of all, I want to clarify something that was said here, and I think you misrepresented. The complaint that is made here is made for the procedures of our police department. My neighbor made it clear, and I'm gonna make it one more time. The reason we're coming in front of you is, first of all, for the criminal trespassing, but second is about the behavior and the lack of standards that are throughout and that apply for everybody equally in the police department. That's why we're coming here, Mr. James. Okay? And the DA, they have their own job, and I hope sincerely he does it. So, now to my comment. As I said, I'm here to discuss about bias and why missing police. I'm also hoping to raise awareness in this environment, what is defined as cultural racism, sometimes called culturism. I have brought these issues up in the past, but was met with denial of racism. There are plenty of scholarly articles on the subjects of cultural racism and denial of racism. And what has happened here for the past N years since we've come here is denial of racism. So here's the first image. This is the incident. And this is the report of the officer. Complainant wanted to report someone was on his porch earlier on this date. Complainant confirmed with another neighbor through camera surveillance of the activity. This is wrong. I was a witness. I filmed the intervention, and we're going to see a clip from it. He complained about criminal trespassing and actually defiant trespassing, which is, as he said, misdemeanor. He did not complain about that he thought that somebody was on his porch. He doesn't even have a porch, by the way, so I don't know where she get that. Can I have please the second? In total contrast to this, same, I think, or this is the next day, it doesn't matter. Vehicle pursuit after suspected burglary. We list the alleged crime. Okay? And I'm gonna quote here, where is it? Yeah, burglary is defined in section 3502 of the criminal code and criminal trespass is 3503. Both have a name, but the name was not used as such in the case of Mr. Krutoyarsky, yet here it is used. Please, next one. Same situation, I think here there's attempted burglary. We name the crime. We don't just water down. He thought. Could the officer wrote here, have written here that he thought that somebody was in his store or whatever it was? Yes. But that's watering down the issue. Okay? And as I said, I'm coming. Another thing is, Greg specifically asked for charges to be pressed, which again is not part of the report. Specifically asked, and we're going to see this in this clip. And this is not an isolated incident. This is not first time this happened. Okay, in contrast with other complaints, all complaints of the Cullen dinner have been distorted and paint us, immigrants, as being out of touch, exaggerated, or even unhinged. All we're asking is to be treated equally, and we're not. The officers are not even writing. Can I have the video on that, please? Thank you.
I'm not sure why it's doing this, but I just
That's my fine. Well,
5 minutes is up.
Are
you
we
able to-
seem to have difficulty.
Excuse me. I'm running this meeting, you're not, okay?
I know.
Thank you.
I know, Bill. You haven't even
How-
said
how are you
good
coming
afternoon
along?
when you walked in. We're also people, Bill.
How are you coming along with the video?
one second.
It was confirmed to me that it works.
Okay, we'll just view this.
And we have louder.
That volume's all the way up.
It's a lot louder than my computer.
I'm going to take up the report and send it to the detective's office so they can investigate.
Okay. May I comment?
I think the report was taken, was gonna be moved to the Detective Bureau, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, thank you for your comments.
Sure.
Chief,
Can you bring up this suspicious activity, that incident with the suspicious activity? Or was the plotter,
The last one.
the one that says suspicious activity, that's the attempted burglary, it's suspicious activity. Nope, that's the.
It's the first one.
So again, so everybody understands what they're showing here. They're showing here the blotter that goes on the website. So the blotter is very general, basic information. It is not the full report. Full report is investigative. It is not subject to public disclosure because there is the possibility of criminal charges here being filed. So just to walk you through what this looks like, the 3922 6862, that's the incident number for internal reporting for why missing. The next number is when Burst was notified of the incident, that's the number that Berks County Radio generated for it. You have the date of 11/19/22, 39 is why missing police department's call number. Walk means that it was a walk-in complaint, which you can see by that video. The suspicious activity is what it's labeled as. It is labeled as suspicious activity at this point, but again, it's general. When you look under primary officer, ALB 10, that's Officer Borman, who you saw in the video. The status next to that means that it's on hold. That means that is for our detective agent, our sergeant for our detectives. He searches for those dispositions to then assign them to a detective. So when this was put on the internet, it had not yet been assigned because it was that next day. All right, so it was put on hold. Officer Borman put it on hold for a detective unit to get it. A disposition code next to that is FOLL, which means follow-up. That means that Officer Borman conducted a follow-up investigation to this and report so that the detectives then have something to go on. So what you've seen here is not nearly everything that was done with your incident.
We're aware
Not
of
nearly.
that. We're
Okay?
aware of that.
So
It's not clear.
we are not discriminating against you in any way. I can't say word for word, but I did look at this and I know it's mentioned in Officer Borman's report about the trespassing. Okay, it's in her report
Why is not here?
because it's listed as suspicious activity. That's what.
So,
Yeah,
why
But
not?
it doesn't matter. The charge will be the charge if a charge is
But
brought.
it matters
Okay,
to us.
well, this
It
is not
matters
a
to us.
debate.
So
You've
it's-
had your turn,
it's
now
how
it's the
we-
chief's turn.
Put it into the system as suspicious activity, because right now, I will tell you, and I don't want to go into this meeting a whole lot, I'll talk to you later. What is alleged, he came up onto your front door via the sidewalk, okay? And mailmen do that, that's the public access to your home. If somebody comes to your house to knock on your door or something, so this
Not
is why
somebody
this
who
is why
has
an
been
investigation.
told over
This is
and
not-
over.
I'm not
Okay.
questioning, I'm
Stop.
telling you,
Let's
this
schedule-
is why it's like that at this point.
Let's schedule a
If,
meeting.
if we do a charge, it will be for trespassing. That's what the charge will be.
All we're
And-
asking
and-
is to be equally treated like the other
You are treated
reports.
exactly like everybody
Well, it
else.
doesn't say burglary,
Okay,
it
I've now
doesn't
asked
say
you 3
trespassing.
times, this is
We're
over.
not, I'm not
Call-
gonna debate that of how.
You
people
call it, make an
enter. It's got
appointment
nothing
with
to do
the
it
chief.
Once it's there, it's
Mr.
important.
Patowski, that's enough.
With you.
That's enough.
Okay.
You call, you make an appointment with the chief, like I said before, and discuss it. This is not the place to do that.
You know, his
I
name is
have-
Krutoyarsky, because you corrected him about pronouncing
My
your
apologies,
names.
sir. Okay,
I do,
yes.
like the other question. On those blotters, does it ever say anything related to race, religion, color, creed, any of that stuff? So
It might,
we-
it might be if we have a suspect out there that committed some kind of crime, we don't know who
Sure,
that is.
If you have some kind
So
of,
if there was a black male that committed that, we may, because the blotter report, when our officers start their shift, they read those blotter reports from the last time that they worked. So that way they know what's been happening since their last shift.
but one.
So if a black male committed a crime or
Sure.
a white male or Hispanic, they know when they're looking at this, that a crime was committed, they know who they're looking for a suspect.
Let me rephrase my question. The address, like I saw one on Wellington, you don't have to bring it back up. Does it say who owns the home? No. Does it say the address? No. Does it say the race, religion, color, creed, any of that stuff that could be considered?
Again,
That's not what
blotter
we
report, again,
commented
we
on.
pull all that stuff out, it gives you the general street area, as you saw, the address isn't put in there
So it
for that
doesn't
reason,
say
so,
all that
you know,
stuff.
you don't know, so,
Just want to clarify.
right. So that was part of that report that I had created, we talked about in the past, so it's, that stuff can be put out to the public without, if we had a domestic or something, we had the full address out there, that everybody sees, oh, they're having domestic issues and stuff, so for embarrassment for those people, or whatever it is. That way, we're putting information out to the public, so they know what's going on, but it's not as clear as to where it's actually occurring. Gives you a general idea.
Right.
I mean, but, if it says State Hill Road, that's a lot bigger than maybe Lowers Lane,
Correct. Got it.
Still didn't answer the
Okay.
question.
Does anybody else have any?
So where is
Counsel?
this situation at the moment in your department?
Detectives.
Okay, so I think somebody mentioned, so it's a blotter. The blotter is simply a way to express to the public who they work for, what they do for a living, generally speaking. They don't go into every aspect of an investigation. That's done by the officers, and then if charges are filed, they're filed. If anybody wants more information about anything on the blotter, the good thing is, we have a blotter. You can go in there any day and see what these guys are doing. He's not gonna tell you everything, he's not gonna tell you what the investigators have done, because they don't do a blotter report every day, they do a blotter on the day of the event. So you're not gonna get much, but you're gonna get the fact that they are working, and they went somewhere and responded to something. So this is all a lot of malarkey at the moment. It really doesn't come down to anything until they make a decision on what the follow-up was in the investigative report that was then written. Then the chief will get together and do what he needs to do to make it happen. There's no reason for any suggestions about racism or sexism or critical this or anything else. It just doesn't exist.
It's
not
just
going
about
to
calling
anymore.
it what it is. In one case is burglary, in another case is
It
nothing.
could change every day of the week. It could say a burglary
Well,
at Walmart, it could
I
say,
would
Not a debate again.
Well, I would love to see that.
Well,
there's no direction,
You're out of
there's
order.
nothing in a blotter. There's no basis, there's no rules that say you must put this, and this, and it must pertain to that on a sunny day or a
That's-
cloudy day.
okay. All right. Again, if you have, displeasure with the police department, please contact the police chief, and we'll schedule a meeting where you can go into his office. Okay, moving on. Fire department report, Alan.
Good afternoon. For the month of November, to date, there have been 152 responses consisting of 24 fires, 24 motor vehicle accidents, 46 QRS medical responses, out of which we had 22 patient contacts, 15 hazardous conditions, 42 alarm activations, and 1 fire police call. Total responses in the borough 99, in Spring Township 33, and outside of the borough 20. Overlapping calls so far to date is 86. I don't have them broken down yet. That will be in the monthly report for November when we do that. Fire damage for the month of November, $3,200. Saved property, $246,800. That was for an incident on Cedarwood Road. Average turnout was 4.7 personnel. We had 22 volunteer responses for the month, and to date, 1,630 calls. For the expanded report for October, system-wide, there was 285 responses, out of which 157 were in Wyomissing. Total responses for Spring Township were 214. Total responses for Wyomissing QRS was 48 with 21 patient contacts. There was 3 Narcan administrations for the month of October. Busiest day of the week was Saturday with 49 calls, and busiest hour of the day was 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. with 20 calls. For October, there was fire damage of $50,000 in Wyomissing alone. Saved property in Wyomissing was $200,000. That was for 1143 Berkshire Boulevard. We gave aid 46 times. We received aid 46 times. There were 84 overlapping calls consisting of 34 between Spring and Wyomissing at the same time, 13 with Wyomissing at the same time, and 37 with Spring at the same time. Average dispatch to en route was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Dispatch to on scene was 6 minutes and 55 seconds. We gave aid to Laureldale 1 time, Western Berks Fire Department 16, Wilmelsdorf 1, Burns Township Greenfields 8, West Reading 5, Muhlenberg Township 5, Cumru Township 9, and the City of Reading 1. That's all I have for monthly reports. If anybody has any questions.
Any questions on the monthly reports?
Are there any Narcans in there?
In October, no, I mean in November, no. In October, there were 3, and they were in Wyomissing Borough. No, that's kind of the average. My next item on the list is, as everybody well knows, we're getting ready to start the hiring process for the fire department. We've met with civil service once. I'm having some angst with one of the requirements in civil service. Michelle reached out to the civil service solicitor. I don't know that she got a response back. I cornered him last night, and he said he don't think there'd be a problem with that. we're looking for approval from fire and police, ultimately potentially council, to go to the Civil Service Commission meeting on December 20th to waive section 3.8 general qualifications. All applicants, section E, have a valid Class B commercial driver's license and eligible to legally operate a motor vehicle in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's stating that they're required to have that up front when they get hired. We're looking to, require them to have a valid driver's license, legally be able to operate a motor vehicle in the Commonwealth, but obtain the Class B CDL within 6 months after hire.
So you need a motion
Correct. I
to
believe
waive
so.
that? Okay, and again, the Class B is the commercial driver's license to operate based on the tonnage,
Correct.
and
We're
so-
not, fire department's not legally required to have a CDL. It's very beneficial, and I'm glad that we have them, I do as well. But I think that's gonna hinder us getting applicants where we can put them through that after the fact, because it's probably gonna be a good year anyway till the new people actually start driving. They wouldn't drive until they would obtain their CDL.
Interesting question. This qualification requirement, has that been in the requirements for some time?
I believe so,
And
yes.
so.
Well, see, I don't know. I don't remember changing it. We changed things. I'm new to civil service when we created the technician position. The guys that are currently hired there said that they didn't have to obtain a CDL till 6 months after they were hired. But everything that I've seen in civil service so far, and we didn't touch that, required them to have a civil service right up front.
Right, that was gonna be my next question. The guys who are already on staff,
Indicated that they had up to 6 months to obtain it after they were hired.
so it was a condition of their offer of employment at that time.
Correct.
And that's similar to what we do for other departments that require a CDL, like Parks and Public Works.
So is there any situation here where if they're hired and don't pass the CDL, that becomes an issue? Yeah, if their offer of employment is conditional and they don't meet the conditions, then that offer is rescinded, so they would lose their position. They might
So
work
it
for
is
us for 6
conditional.
months.
So it
I
doesn't
mean, that
matter.
would be the way that I would approach it. I wouldn't waive the requirement. I would waive the aspect that requires it as a pre-employment condition and instead make it a requirement to be complied with within 6 months. In which case, if they don't meet the condition, they lose their job.
And ultimately, it would be before their actual probation period was over. I mean, I think the probation period is 1 year, so we would be doing that within that time frame as well, too, that they'd be a probationary, that wouldn't really have the protection of potentially.
One thing,
How long does it take?
how
I'm
often
sorry.
can you take the test?
That I don't know. See, everything's changed. When I went over, I took the driver's test, I just went into the driver's license center, I took a fire truck over there, I did this driving for the CDL. But now you have to sit through a classroom, and you have to do different skills, I guess, and stuff like
So,
that.
I mean, for the recent Public Works Department hires, there is a new process required by the state to obtain your CDL that Jim has actually had an instructor come in to do the training and the pre-test driving, so to speak. And then they go and actually take the test.
Well, it seemed to me that if you have 6 months to take it, and you know you can take it every week if you want to, you should be able to pass it pretty fast. But if it's only offered once every 6 months, and it goes 6 months, the guy still doesn't have a license, then we have a problem.
And I think it's gonna be easier if we go that route that Public Works did, where we actually have an instructor come in, because it's not where you're gonna go on your own and basically just challenge the test or whatever and do, I think we can educate whoever to be able to obtain that.
Then it makes sense to get them up to speed as quickly as possible, because he
Correct.
needs to be able to drive a fire truck that
Correct.
works with fire department, right?
Yes.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we waive section 3.8 general qualification for applicant subsection E.
We have a second? I'll make the second.
I would say as long as it has the caveat that Chris, that we just discussed, that's added to the language of waiving it.
The waiver would be as to the
pre-employment qualification that still will need to receive that license within 6 months of the beginning. Is that what you meant?
Fred?
Yes. Read my mind.
I'll still keep my second to that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it.
Thank you.
It's always very, very interesting. It's when they first came out, and actually the state required for a while that CDLs, but all fire trucks drive differently. And it's like, they didn't have anybody, nobody could qualify us. You know, it was crazy. Okay. Moving on. Under the fire department study, do you wanna?
I'll take that one. I was contacted by Fred Chapman, who works for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development a few months ago about multiple programs that the state offers. One of them is various different types of studies for regional fire and emergency services. The key part to these studies are that they're free. They're at absolutely no cost to municipalities that want to participate in them. So given where some recent conversations have gone about fire department service, I've reached out to Spring Township. I've also talked to Spring Township and Kruger Township about the interest in having the state come in and do a free analysis of what regionalization and or a merger would look like. Spring Township is on board with submitting the letter of intent that the state requires each municipality that is interested in participating to formally approve submission of at a public meeting. Kruger responded and said that they will need several months to decide if they're interested in participating. And I have had multiple conversations with West Reading, including one as recent as last Wednesday. And the key issue is any municipality that eventually would potentially consider a merger would require them to pay some type of annual amount. And kind of spitballing that amount, we came up with probably a minimum of $1 million for a smaller municipality like West Reading. The concern is if a municipality participates but would not actually go through with any type of regionalization or merger, the study is then it's ineffective. I mean, the study is going to look at which departments are actually going to do this if they move forward. So including a municipality that's gonna bulk at a cost of, $500,000 or even $1 million negates the study even being done. So right now, at least Spring Township and the Borough of Wyomissing appear to be intent on moving forward. I would need this committee and council to approve submission of the letter of intent to DCED, which would be the next step.
I will say that at the meeting, which besides the chief, Ellen, Michelle, Mr. Durr, Mr. Bruner, and myself, attending that meeting with the officials of Spring, it was exciting. Actually, it went a lot better than I really thought it would be. It's like they recognize this is going to have to happen. Something's has to happen, and but this is a great beginning and explore everything. And the meeting was just to get a temperature to see who is interested in it. And personally, right now, with just having it Spring and ourselves conducting the initial thing, I am encouraged by that, because the more you get involved, well, then the more bogged down things are going to get. But I think from right out of the gate, this is going to work out well.
If the DCED study is without cost to municipalities, I can't see what would prevent if we went ahead with Spring and then later on West Reading wanted to join in, why couldn't they do a new study?
They could. I think at that point, the ball would kind of be in their court to move forward with that.
Which is understandable.
Does,
So we don't lose anything by going ahead now.
No.
So I have a question. Is there if you have two Major League Baseball teams in the same town, which is Spring Township and Wyomissing, and then you've got a double A team over there called West Reading, or a single A team, they have baseball bats, and they have uniforms, and they play the game. Are they not allowed into our baseball program, or do they have to give you $1 million to buy in to be a AAA?
Ron, my hunch is they would have to be able to say out of their budget, they'd have to be an equal participant, or at least equal in terms of, I don't know, households, whatever, however that's all decided, but I don't know that they're that interested in.
The end result would
Spending
be
more
that they
money.
would need to be staffed accordingly the way the other departments were staffed. That's the overall issue, is the lack of volunteers, the lack of response from everything. So looking at anybody jumping on board would really ultimately have to be staffed. So if we have 3 at YMS and there's 3 at Spring, if West Reading comes on, there really should be 3 people there, because that's the whole purpose of the merger. It's gonna give you more people quicker, that one municipality doesn't have to hire more people to supplement municipality A, because they're staffed the same way, you know, we are. Everything's staffed together, so all those people are coming at one time.
No, I certainly get.
So that's where the monetary thing would come from, that they would roughly be able to have to pay for the salaries of 9 or 12 people.
I certainly get the idea of spring and why missing, whatever the number is, we could say $1 million, and they say $1.1 million, and we say, okay, $1.1 million is fine, and they say $1.2 million, and we just keep playing this game. We can keep anybody out of this game if we want to, because West Reading has not enough equipment, but enough to put out a fire in West Reading. They have guys that show up that can do all the things firemen can do, but they can't do what we can do because they're not in our club. So do they get to play in the club if they don't do any of this stuff? Or do
Sure,
they-
there's a countywide mutual aid agreement,
All right,
so
so they'll be part of this thing anyway, whether or not they're part of our mutual aid agreement here. They can respond to a fire and why missing if they want to.
correct.
Okay, so they can stick around, we just can't play
Does-
big dollar.
Would it make sense if we're going, which I'm all in favor of, but I'm not on the committee, does it make sense to notify the county that we're gonna start this process? Because at the end of the day, if there's another municipality who might want to be able to participate but can't financially, maybe the county could help that municipality financially to do so.
I think personally, with the county, I think this is a political snowball for them. They don't wanna get involved because there's too many good old boys clubs out there.
Why don't we let them make that decision?
Well, they've had the opportunities many times in the past to create a countywide department, and they've chosen not to.
I think it though, it would be a wise idea, just let the county know what we're up to, with the board, just in case.
Yeah, and we're not trying to take over the Berks County's.
We
fire
did
department.
contact West Reading about this, right?
Multiple times.
Multiple times, and the answer has never been they want to be involved, right?
Oh, they want to be involved, they just don't want to pay.
They don't pay anybody.
But I still ask this question, and all I hear crickets when I ask the question. If West Reading wants to do this, it would seem to me the best place for them to go looking for cash contributions would walk up the street to Reading Hospital and see what they plan to do in the future. If it's gonna be crickets there in a couple of years, and there won't be a hospital, okay. But if it's gonna be a going trauma center, and they need protection, what we do for a living, you guys, is gonna be helpful to them, and they have in the past given money to this project. So to blindly think they wouldn't get the same $500,000 they used to get is sort of misrepresenting where they are.
I don't think anybody said they're not gonna get whatever they get from the Reading Hospital. I think all we're saying is they have decided that they don't want to participate financially.
Well, I'm just asking.
West Reading has said that, not us asking, we're not guessing, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Are
for
they
us to go
saying
to the
that-
hospital
Are
or.
they saying they have the money, they just don't wanna do it?
No, they don't have the money. I mean, they effectively pay nothing for fire service right now.
So if they got the money from the Reading Hospital, would they do it?
But
They're
that's up to
already-
them, that doesn't involve us.
They're already, so they get roughly $500,000, it might be a little bit more right now for their, they call it pilot program.
Right.
That's already spent in their budget, outside of picking up fire service.
All I'm trying to say is if they don't wanna play, they don't have to. They have money available, they don't wanna use it to do this, okay, no problem, no harm, no foul, that's all I'm
Well,
asking.
the main thing, like the chief brought up, and, you know, the main thing is to have a staffed department, okay? to have staff crews at every station. Okay, so you know what you're getting, okay? It's like,
And it's not fair for the residents of Wyomissing or Spring to be paying the bill, which we kind of are now, to go down because of the mutual aid agreement. But if they want to get involved with the merger, then unfortunately they're going to have to pony up because it's not a free ride, is what we're saying.
I'm just guessing on this one, Ron, but I think everybody in this room would love West Reading to get involved in this, but
yeah,
they've chosen not to.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the other week, the chief had a call, you know, you wanna, as an incident commander, you wanna pull your hair out, just say, oh yeah, great, I got another truck coming, and the truck pulls up with one guy. Well, he might as well stay at the station because he's useless.
Listen, I'm
Yeah,
not
like-
trying to force anybody to do anything. I just want to know that West Reading had all the options to come to the table and
Absolutely.
said no.
Everyone.
We can still run around with they can still run around with a fire truck and hoses to put fires out, but it won't be part of this deal. Fine with me.
Yep.
Michelle, do you have any idea about turnaround in this process with the DC?
Last time I talked to Fred, he said there was a pretty extensive waiting list. They used to get more requests for police studies, and in the past 2 years, it's actually switched to fire. So I would expect anywhere from 6 to 12 months before we even have the first meeting with an analyst.
Gotta start sometime.
Okay, any further questions? Okay,
Someone needs to make a motion.
make a motion, I will make the motion that we proceed forward with this.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Let's, the DCD, no, we're interested. Okay, anything else, chief?
That's all I have, thank you.
Any further questions for the chief? Thank you. We have a stranger amongst our midst. Carrie, so nice to see you. How's Western Berks doing?
Good, we're good. Okay, so I have the month of October, we had a total of 298 incidents, making that a total of 2,561 for the year so far. Of those, we transported 225. We had 109 ALS, 141 BLS. Our average response time from dispatch was 1 minute and 3 seconds, and average scene time was 14 minutes, 30 seconds. Our busiest hour was around 4 p.m. with 23 incidents. We took 182 to Reading Hospital, 23 to St. Joe's, and we administered 1 Narcan.
Carrie, does ALS downgrade mean it was reported as ALS, but it was really BLS?
Yeah, it was dispatched as an ALS and then downgraded.
Thank you.
Yep. After arriving. Once the crew gets here and evaluates the patient.
So then you subtract that as from an ALS call and add it to the BLS. Is that how that works?
We keep it separate on.
Okay, you just keep it separate.
For
but-
this purpose, yes, we keep it separate.
Okay. Oh, I see, downgrade. Answer my other question. Okay, any other questions? Carrie? Oh, you got all these in there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I went to your open house, it was very nice.
Oh, thank you for coming. Were you at the old station ever before?
Yeah,
Oh, you were, so it's a big difference, huh?
sure is.
Yeah, I have to get up.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't easy. Okay, police department, John.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I wanted to give you guys an update about the cameras. The cameras are up except for that crossing drive. You guys remember the issue that we were having there. They should be up in the next 2 weeks, but all the other cameras are live and we are utilizing them. The detectives have all been trained on their use. They're training our officers. With some of the incidents that you saw earlier that were in the public comment portion with the attempted burglaries. There's been a group going up and down East Coast hitting Dunkin' Donuts. They've been hitting Berks County the last couple of weeks. Ours was attempted twice now in the last couple of weeks. Both times, prior to coming to here, they hit Kuru. Now, our officers heard that go out, went to ours and caught them in the act. One time they caught him, one time, both times they were pursuits, and the second time they got away. But I make that advising you that the cameras we have now used to track them from, once they hit Wyomissing from Qumru to that location. So it's going to be evidence that is used for the commission of that attempt for the one incident, especially. And when we figure out who was in that other one, the second one, we'll use it for that as well. So it's already working to help us on some bigger cases. So it is very much appreciated. Detectives love it already. As far as update on our hiring process, we are down to 9 candidates from the original 31 that I mentioned to you. We lost some when it came to the PT test. Some didn't show up. Some failed their PT test, and we've had a couple people withdraw. So we are at 9. The detectives yesterday started the backgrounds. The oral interview portion was done last week on Monday and Tuesday with the remaining candidates to get their final scores, so they are ranked. And then on the top 5, they have started the backgrounds. So I won't go over the process again unless anybody has a question about it, but that December 20th civil service meeting is when we'll look to have the list certified, and at that point, I'll be asking for that special meeting with the conditional hire. Out of the top 3 right now, 1 has an academy, they're a part-time officer, the other 2 do not. 2 of the top 3 are veterans, so they are going to get veterans preference. With that, as far as we would have to hire them over the one, that's number 2. We came to that. Now, we might find something in backgrounds that might knock one of them out or both out or whatever, but as it stands right now, 1 and 3 are veterans. So we'll keep the process going and let you know after that meeting.
Can I just quickly add to that, as a reminder for anyone on council, that meeting is December 20th. We have a personnel meeting that morning at 11, civil service will be roughly at 12 and probably last no longer than 15 minutes. And then the intent is to schedule a special council meeting directly after civil service. Mainly because all of council comes in for personnel anyway, so I don't want you to have to come, leave, and come back later, that way you'll be here.
John, I just have one question that I'm not up to speed on. The individual that is an officer that is applying, does that carry with it any increase
No.
similar to the military increase?
No.
He's on his own.
And then finally, I'm taking possession of the last new vehicle tomorrow. So the vehicle that it is going to be replacing is still in pretty decent shape as in comparison to the other car that we had gotten rid of earlier in the year. We took possession of the other new car. The Wyomissing School District has approached me wondering if I knew of any used old police cars out there because they're looking to purchase one for their officer that they have there, Officer Brindley. I told them that one of our cars that will eventually be replaced here, once we get the other one, is not in that bad of shape in comparison. It has just under 64,000 miles right now. So what I'm asking is, the school district is a government entity, so that vehicle could be purchased directly to them without going to bid. And I was wondering if that would be, I don't know a price that they're looking to spend or anything like that at this point. I said I would first start with seeing if we would be willing to sell directly to them if we can come to an agreement on a price.
What's the identifier on that car?
It's
Just
car 5.
Car 5.
It's car 5. Car 8 we got rid of earlier in the year. I think that's still sitting at the garage. We're waiting to, I think Jim wants to wait to put on municipal bid till we figure out what we're doing with this one. So like I said, what I'm looking for is if council would be willing to sell directly to them, if we can come to an agreed upon price. And I could work with them and include Michelle as well in those conversations if you would like as to what we can try to agree upon, what they're looking at spending, if we could agree to that.
Historically, what's the roughly pay you get for it?
I've looked at some online, and they're going anywhere from 15 to 20,000. It depends on the year. This car, I think, is 18, I think, 18, so it's a little older. But it was the last year and plus, since I took over as chief, we've always had one supervisor car, and that car was going 24/7. And I split it up so that there are two, so that they got a little bit of a break and didn't get the miles so quickly. And that has been a supervisor car, so that the miles that's why it's only at 64 now, last year.
What would you do with that car if this wasn't?
It would go on municipal bid for sale.
So I just have a question. I might have been, I thought it was spoiled. I was driving around in state vehicles for 20 years. We never let a car out the door unless it had a minimum of 125,000 miles on it. Why are we getting the cars with 65,000 miles on them?
Idle time is a big reason. A lot of your state cars, you're probably parking it and letting it sit, so and it's turned off. Our cars, once they're running, they're pretty much running because they're running the computers, now the cameras, the LPR systems, all that stuff. And when you turn that stuff off, all that stuff dies and kills the batteries. That's all that. We have a system in place where in the cars now, as we get the new ones, you can remove the key and leave the engine running. So if somebody were to jump in, they put it in drive, it's not gonna go anywhere, but it enables the car to keep running all those different pieces of equipment. But it gets the idle time up, and that starts causing issues with the engine. That's why it's still, the way I have it worked out with what I gave everybody with the 5-year plan, the patrol, once we get through this, there's some CI cars that are getting replaced next year. And the patrol cars there's 4 of them, they're probably gonna end up being every 3 years or so, until we get the mileage better. It's up in the 70s usually is where they're going. But again, this one would be up there, except I pulled it out of its normal rotation so that it's only being driven by 2 supercars. But it's the engine hours, the idle time that kills it.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we offer the retiring police vehicle to the school district at a price to be determined.
They just include that car 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything else, Chief?
Nope, that was it.
Anybody have any questions for the chief? Very good, thank you. West Side Emergency Management. Tom.
November was pretty quiet, you can stay that way, through December, be just fine. We did use, code red twice for, delivering a message of a why missing water check. This will be done on November 1st, and for the police department, for a public awareness of police activity involving a possible crime. Scene evidence investigation in the Greenwood Mall area, about a week and a half ago or so. And, that seemed to, I think, help them with the public awareness part of it anyway. So that was something that system is, designed for, and certainly helped to do its job. The hazard mitigation thing is still ongoing. Next meeting is December 7th with the steering committee, and the document is still expected to be out sometime early next year for local government approval, which would include our council here. The Emergency Operations Center open house for elected officials we did on November 16th, from 7 to 8, and Fred and Jana were both there. I was glad that they both came. There was several from Spring Township, and we did not get anybody from West Reading or Sinking Spring, which is why we redesigned the whole date. So I don't know what happened there, but these other people came and were, you know, informed about what we do and got a good view of things that were going on there. So I think that's a good thing, and everyone else is always welcome if we have that. You're welcome anytime. If you give me a call or something, I can certainly have anybody come by and see us. Alan's up there with the fire department stuff, so we can take a look at whatever you want to for some of that emergency service stuff. Be just fine. That's it. Does anyone has any questions?
How many residents are signed up for Code Red? I've probably heard this number 15 times.
Well,
can't
I
remember.
don't have I can probably get a number for you through Code Red. I don't have that, like, say, right at my fingertip here.
Well, I don't even know who, it would just be interesting to see how many of the residences in the borough signed up, and I think that's something we need to keep pushing.
Well, I do have, currently, there's a sign-up sandwich board at the library here, and I have two of them, and I've been rotating them around. One will eventually come back here, we can put out here in the lobby, and I have one over currently in the library there. One will go down to West Reading, probably, I've been putting them in like a month, for a month, and moving them. I've had them at Spring Township Admin, Sinky Library, Spring Township's Library, and.
Can we take advantage of things like in the borough of Wyomissing specifically? I'm not gonna speak for any of the boroughs, like the lighting of the greens, put a sign down there for that.
I could take the sandwich board down there.
Be great.
That kind of thing is good. I have, you know, we have put things in the newsletter, so it's been in there.
I just think the more we have on it, the
No,
better it is for
I
us.
don't disagree with you, because the number of people that we used to be able to get landline numbers from different, like from 911 and others, and that's disappearing so fast. And then people with cell phones they have to sign up, because there's no like, the list for that, or like, you know, we got people here from we got their number in California, you know,
Right.
and now they're here, and, you know, unless they sign up, there's nowhere to find those numbers.
What about the utility accounts?
I'm sorry?
The utility accounts, so like,
You
we
mean-
have phone number, and a lot of times we have a primary and a secondary.
Well, I do know that, the Water Authority has used, I don't know about Western Berks, but, PA American has,
Yeah, it's on Western Berks.
is it?
Well, I mean, no, we have it, I'm saying,
Yeah.
we internally,
Well, but I think you send that to me, when I give usually Code Red, you know, we go through a thing like once a year, where we like update whatever we can, and then,
I can see if Kim can pull a report that just has,
I don't know if, Melissa, you haven't sent me any of that. I guess it was prior to your arrival, maybe, but I always got a list from someone.
I'll talk to Kim and see if she can pull something off the utility accounts, because you would hit every household.
Yeah, no, that's good. I just assumed that's where some of that came from when I would send that in, and before they would redo the thing, I would say, if you have a list of numbers I can use, I know I get them from everyone else. I'm sure I have a list.
Well, if you pay your water bill, your phone number's on there, so that's a batch feed just for.
Yeah.
Yes, and,
That's fine.
yes and no, not every utility account actually has a phone number. The owner has to request one be added, but, I mean,
Mine's not on it.
Is that,
Mine's not on mine.
you don't put yours on there when you pay your bill? Do you pay your bill online?
No, I read a check.
Oh, right, well, if you pay your bill online, you put your phone number, because they ask you for it.
All right,
So, I mean,
that's fine.
I'll see what I
If
can
you
do.
have it, send it to me.
Okay.
I mean, that's a good way to get it, plus the signs, well,
My suggestion, are those weatherproof signs?
they are not.
Only, I mean, I actually had foot traffic at the Borough Hall track for the first 4 months of this year. It's nothing like what it used to be. I
Oh.
don't know you're gonna get a lot of eyes.
Put it,
I was thinking putting it down at the corner, but if it's not weatherproof, I don't know that that would work.
It's just printed on that plastic stuff, and then it's like, I don't know, say, and then I slide the thing in there. I can check and see how.
I think we just need to get as many only people in there as we possibly can.
And how long that would last down there, though? Jeez. No, I mean, that would be in somebody's dorm room in about 5 minutes. But, yeah, well, that's fine. Anything is a help. There's no question about that. The numbers for calls vary. Sometimes it's as high as 60-some%. Other times it's been 40%.
I'm sure there's another angle to this, which is when you first started it, you went to everybody's house, which was the whole purpose. Now, if you triple, and the other 2/3 are everybody's cell phones, and they're all out of town, it's like, why are they bothering you in California? So it really, your utility of it is even in question, because you don't even know where the hell it's going.
Well, the only part I would disagree with that is that if something's going on and they shouldn't come back home, if there's a hazardous materials or something, and they were out shopping somewhere, and they would get the call that would say, hey, either stay in your house and close all the windows, or don't come home, or whatever, if something's going on.
You can get off the list just as easy as you get on the list, right?
You can get off if you want to. Some people.
So if you get a text or a call from your cell phone that I don't want, rather than if I move to California from
No, I get those
I
calls.
I totally agree with you, I think we just need to go to everybody that has a phone in one
Legally,
list.
that we can't just put everyone's, that use the whole database and whatever phone numbers we have, we use. If they don't want it, they can.
Well, I've gotten calls already that say, I moved to Arizona or something and take me off. I don't care what's happening in Wyoming.
which is fair, that's fine.
Yeah. No, that's okay, and I can take
It's not a
calls.
necessary contract, I just think the more we have on it, the better off we'll be.
No, I agree with you.
We could give people $1 if you give us a phone number, how about that, that would help, right?
What's that?
Get $1 from everybody, and we'll take the phone call.
Right, I'll look for your list.
Okay.
Right.
We can take we'll get, take the sign that's at the library, we'll take that to the lighting of the greens at the libraries.
No.
Take that one, you're picking up the baskets.
When we're picking up the baskets,
You're picking- you can take
I
that.
already heard them doing it.
There you go.
Yes, you got a shout out for that, so.
Yes.
That's fine. Good.
Anybody have anything else to comment? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any old business to be discussed? I reviewed everything, I can't find anything that we haven't already talked about. Moving on, any new business to be brought before council? Okay. At this point, we are going to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel issues. And we're not gonna have anything to vote on, or,
You may for mine.
okay. How long are we gonna need?
John, I know you need some time.
So-
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna say 15 to 20 tops.
Okay, let's say 20 minutes.
Okay. 15 minutes to the game time.
Soccer.
We have a safety meeting at 2, so.
What was it, 2?
We have a safety meeting, an internal safety.
Okay, we'll move back into regular session. We were in executive session. We discussed some personnel issues.
We're gonna need to amend the agenda to add, say, interpretation of, the collective bargaining agreement with the firefighters. So, someone needs to make a motion to amend the agenda to add that topic. So moved. Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So be it.
All right, and as we usually do, I should ask for public comment.
All right, do we have any public comment on this matter?
So, based on our executive session discussion, I would recommend a motion to committee to recommend to council an interpretation of the use of sick leave under the firefighter collective bargaining agreement in the following situation where an officer has been injured at other employment other than the borough fire department, and that officer is receiving workers' compensation through the injury at the other employment, that the officer has the right to use a portion of his or her sick leave to bring his or her total compensation from workers' comp and sick leave up to the net compensation that they receive from the borough based on their base compensation.
I'll make that motion consistent with you having written down what you just said.
You got all that?
So I have to repeat.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's a mouthful.
It's a good mess.
Anything else to discuss? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Warren.
I'll be in here.